So many people have asked, what is storytelling? Storytelling is what draws emotion. It leads to action. It causes change. Those are the kind of stories you see in movies. In businesses, storytelling also provides the competitive advantage for you. If we were to break it down to pretty simple terms in terms of what business analysts do, exploratory analysis is what you do to explore and discover issues in your data. It's what Qlik has provided for over 20 years, which is great, but your boss's boss's boss doesn't care how you found or how many issues you find if nothing ends up being done to correct them. Explanatory analysis, on the other hand, in other words, storytelling, is what you do to explain the issues to others so that someone can take action. That's what we're all driving for, actionable intelligence. You have to figure out how to use that data to tell a story. Storytelling is what lets you convert your data from the most expensive liability in the company to the most valuable asset in the company. Let me give you an example. For direct data discovery, I might have a whole bunch of charts like this where I've walked through and have these charts. If I were to simply pull this chart up for executives in a meeting, they would already be lost. Besides the color gradients and stuff, they would be looking and saying, what am I really looking at here? They're not the kind who are trying to drill into things, you are. They need you to capsulize it for them. So here's an example of how I would take that chart using the storytelling feature in Qlik and display it for them. I might say something like, during 2015, the profit rose 76.74%, in other words, from $1.9 million to $3.3 million. We can look at these, and now that I've identified it, we would see that. But if we just showed the chart, we might totally miss that. One of the things that they might want to figure out is where was the biggest month? And we might say something like the largest single increase was a rise of 135% from 1.4 million to 3.3 million just in the month of November to December. We might also want to identify for them that the series showed a longest span of continuous growth over the months from May to September. So we can use these little arrows. So forgive the graphics, they're kind of cheesy. You can do a much better job of putting arrows in or capsulizing those things. But that's the kind of story that we might want to share with our data. But wait, the story doesn't end here. The beauty of the storytelling feature within Qlik is that when the executives say, hey, I'm not sure about these numbers, let me see something, you can right-click right in your storytelling and say, I want to go to the source. And that's going to take us right to this chart so that I could do additional analysis. And they might say something like, hey, just show me cardiology. And you pick cardiology, and you notice that the graph changes. And you expected that because that's what the associative model in Qlik does. What you may not have expected was the chart that's on the bottom. This is a narrative extension. A narrative takes the data from a chart and puts it into text form. That narrative I used before was simply exactly what came out of that box. I let that narrative give me the key points that I thought might be important for the story. As I choose these and I select something like obstetrics, you'll see that it completely changes the story and what it's deciding to focus on. If I pick something and I keep drilling down into something, you'll see that the story changes. As I pick cesarean sections without complications, obviously the chart changes, but the narrative also changes. I don't want to confuse them with this data and have them trying to figure this stuff out. The key thing is that over the course of the year, profits fell nearly 50%. And we could focus on what months we were losing the most money. Where did I have the biggest gap? Is there any place where I did make some money? So not only does Qlik Sense provide the storytelling, the extension that's available for narrative science provides you the ability to go way beyond just visualizations. And what can you do in text form to help get that story across to your executives? Hey, I got things to do. I need to return to my story and get back to this. Take care.